supplier management action team, but they're representatives from the different businesses, and they go through on an annual basis the list of the suppliers and see where there are overlaps. We used to have a major problem with the supplier saying, "What are you guys doing? I just had somebody here yesterday from Beckton Dickinson," and it does become kind of troublesome for them. So now we have this team in place that on an annual basis goes through this. A lot of times we may do it through spend or geographic location, depending, it might be cheaper to have someone that's closer to the site to go do it. And then we track it, we have a database that we actually track that. So anybody can go into the database, see what we place our audit reports and all the comments and corrective actions there. So everybody has access to that. We also are dealing with quality agreements now, the same kind of thing, where you're concerned about one business developing a quality agreement with a supplier, and then another business developing another quality agreement. So we're kind of at that evolution, where we're still having a little bit of that, but we're trying to make it a more combined kind of process like we did with the audits.
That quality agreement, I think, is a good point. We've had that in the past. I think having one software system is part of what's helped us. Is that now about I guess December '07, so a little over a year ago, we implemented the software, and through last year is where we phase it in our other sites. And so now all suppliers globally are in that system with all the file, all the agreements. So when I see that there is or isn't a quality agreement in place with a supplier, that's global. And anybody that at another site wants to use that supplier, they would see what agreement is in place. And if they're going in a more critical business relationship with that supplier, then they would know what needs to be done at that point. And if the one that we already have suffices, then it would stop there.
Speaking about supplier agreements, at our company we've put our agreements in the contracts, which I don't think is a good idea because when we started as a very small company, we've gotten much larger. So what does this panel think is the best way to do it, and what do you think is the best way to separate it out? Because now we have good 30, 50 contracts with supplier agreements in there, and I want to separate them out somehow.
I'll take the first shot. We used to do that. That was a standard practice, is baking it right into the agreements, to the contracts. And unfortunately found out too late that we had a variety of contracts. Some are never expiring, evergreen, whatever you want to call it, which is fine because it keeps your quality agreement alive. Some expire after a year, some after 2 years. And when you have a lot of them, it's really hard to keep track of them and renegotiate them, so it turns out to be a disaster from a logistics point of view. So in the last couple of years, we decided to separate it, make it a standalone agreement, and it's the current version always, and it's independent of the contract. So that's what we decided, and that's my recommendation.
My recommendation, I always liked having them together. So, but when I joined the company, I was told that it was already decided they're going to be separated. And in the past, most of the agreements were combined, just like yours were. And we've just gone through. We remediated our suppliers to make sure we had a quality agreement in place, starting with the highest risk and going down from there. And even if it was already embedded in the contract, we rewrote a quality agreement with them. And then when purchasing is going to renegotiate the contract, they're taking out the quality language. So we just went and did it, ignored what's already in place, and made sure that at least we were not saying anything contrary to what's already in place. And that probably isn't going to be a problem. I imagine if it's already built into your contract, probably what's there is you're going to want to have at least what you already have there and possibly more.
Abby?
And I have a question from a virtual attendee. They wanted to know, how are you tracking the supplier quality agreements? Is there a particular software that you're using?
In my case, I put that right into our, when we attach things into our software, they have a purpose, which in this case the purpose will always be quality agreement. The file name, of course, just says the file name and the description. And we've we put in the description something that will help us with whatever need it is for the different types of farms. So in the case of quality agreement, or for that matter ISO certs, we have in there the expiration date. And then when I run a report of all attachments, then I run a report if I'm looking specifically for quality agreement. I run a report of something with the purpose of quality agreement, and then I'm searching for that the expiration date. And I just parse that out in Excel basically to tell me when something's expiring. And likewise, I do the same thing with ISO certs.